Express on Smooth 98.1 in association with Stanbic IBTC. Stanbic IBTC.
Good morning. Check your time. It's 24 minutes before 7 o'clock. Sincere apologies for starting a bit behind schedule due to technical concerns. You're live on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. My name is Valentine Ohu. Joining Rotus now for Business Express 981. Hi, Rotus.
Hi, Valentine. Good morning. Good morning to our viewers, listeners, and good morning. We have Muyiwa Oni, Regional Head, Equity Research, West Africa for Stanbic. Good morning, Muyiwa.
Good morning, Rotus. Thanks for having me.
Welcome, man.
Morning, Valentine.
Good morning. We're streaming live on YouTube, so you can watch, comment on that platform as well as WhatsApp. WhatsApp number is 0809-444-0981. Please send messages there, 0809-444-0981. Rotus?
Yeah, look, I know people are going to send messages about this already. So, Muyiwa, quickly, what are your thoughts on this surprise sacking of the Minister of Agriculture and Minister of Power? Any impacts on the nation? I mean, any idea as to why it happened? You know, I just want to get your thoughts on it.
So I think surprises will come to mind if I think about thoughts, right? Particularly if you think that with this administration, there hasn't really been too much cabinet reshuffling per se. So suppose the kind of questions that will come to mind is, do these candidates have political agenda that they're trying to push and to more or less vacating the seat ahead of that so they can focus on that agenda, or is this a reflection of non-performance or what? So there seem to be quite a number of questions and particularly difficult to answer given the limited reshuffling or changes one typically finds with this administration.
Interesting stuff. All right, so let's get to the there it is. So that's the cabinet's reshuffle. From you've seen the story there in Metrics. Ministers transfer due to independent and critical self-review, according to the government. Real bombshell yesterday afternoon. We were at the market. So yesterday, I wanted to get your sentiment of what we've seen so far in the markets. Looks like yesterday was, I guess it was saw a decline, I think, of about 9 basis points or so. Market, what's your take on sentiment? Seems like things have been a bit sluggish.
Yeah, so I think sluggish. So seesaw really, if you think about year-to-date performance, market down 2%. So you might argue that it's still fair given that there are quite a number of catalysts or drivers that are still outside or missing in the market. So if you think about last year, the strong driver of the performance was the low interest rate environment. Interest rates seem to have normalized to some level, and you haven't necessarily seen exit in the market, which one will see as positive. I think because we also don't have foreign portfolio investor interest, that also is a dampener. So for now, they continue to either stay on the sidelines or are exiting the market still. And so if you think that in spite of their exits, prices are still where they are, then one might say that I think in terms of downside seems to be limited from here. And so if on the FX side, for example, we see proper reforms that brings in confidence and foreign investors are able to inflow funds, then you see that as a strong catalyst for a strong re-rating in valuations currently. And I think, was it 2 days ago, I saw an article on Bloomberg just looking at valuations of Nigerian companies, put the banks at the lowest point or the cheapest, one of the cheapest stocks on the continent. And one would argue that by itself should be a motivator for interest. But if the foreign investors in particular aren't able to exit or express themselves from a market point of view, then those low valuations just stay low by itself, because on the domestic side, you would argue that they currently have options. So why take a chance on equities and take risk if from the fixed income point of things, you can find rates from 8% and above, and on fixed deposit side as well, are able to end up with double digits returns or fixed income rates.
Interesting stuff. Do you like any particular equities at this point? Despite the the appetite not really being there, are there still opportunities to pick up some stocks?
Yeah, so I think for me, particularly if I think about the conversations I've been having with domestic portfolio investors, my view has been this is more or less a good time to keep on coming into the market, given that things are, one, there's limited demand. And so if you think about Warren Buffett's policy or principle of buying when everybody else is selling and sell when people are buying, one would argue that it's a good time to buy and not. So in a way, you're more or less front running the market. And so from a sector perspective, the banks still look cheap. So if you run down the list from GTB to Zenith to even Access, UBA, so there are quite a number of cheap or attractive positions right now. If you go to cement as well, Dangote cement looks attractive. And so from that point of view, there clearly are opportunities. Now, I suppose the question is really more catalyst. So if you're thinking over the next couple of months, one might argue that you might even see more downside than upside, particularly if foreign investors are still trying to exit the likes of GTB and co. But over the medium to longer term, one see stronger upsides. And I think the positive of a number of these stocks as well is that in the immediate term, you still receive cash flows as well. So Zenith, for example, just declared dividend of 30 kobo per share. The likes of GT and Co as well, once results are published, will. By full year, we'll see dividend declarations as well. And our dividend yield estimates for a number of these counters would range from 10% to 13, 15% as well. So from a cash flow perspective, you're still buying positive cash flow yielding assets.
Great stuff. Muyiwa, do we need foreign investors? A lot of people have said the domestic investors have been carrying the weight, so far in the markets, and they can carry they can go if they want. So how do you feel about the domestic foreign investor dynamic?
So I think it's good to have a healthy relationship, but my own view, particularly when I engage with domestic institutional investors, is that one, they're in the market, they know these names more, they engage with these names more, engage with the products, engage with the services. So if you don't see confidence from the domestic investors, it's difficult to expect someone that is far away to be jumping in or to have far more optimism. And so typically when I'm engaging and they ask what are foreign portfolio investors doing, I keep on throwing it back to them that's the first question the foreign portfolio investors ask me as well, that what are your pension funds doing? Why are they not buying these very cheap names? Why do they have such low positions in equities, even though regulation allows them to hold more as well? And so to your point, one would argue that given the kind of liquidity you see in the pension fund industry, one really shouldn't be looking for foreign investors in terms of building up debt in the market. And I agree with that. But I suppose the benefit of having foreign portfolio investors as well is that from the currency side, it does help to boost reserves. And the reality is that it also brings in some more optimism into the market, and you find that a number of them are willing to take more risk and push valuations higher, unlike the domestic investors that can be conservative sometimes.
All right, so they are needed, very much needed, the foreign investors. Thank you for that. Val.
All right, there's a message here from Inka. It says, Val, remember when we talked about the Minister of Agriculture being the most laid-back minister of all time? And Aya reminded us that the only time he made the news was when he married one small girl like that. Whatever happens, he should just leave. He said you never see him address food inflation, the food inflation issue. In fact, Yemi Kale even gave us more information in that aspect. You never, ever hear him address farmers and herder crisis. Nothing. And good riddance is what Yinka.
The CBN governor has been the Minister of Agri, Minister of Health, Minister of everything.
Finance in some respects.
He's been the CBN government. That's been crazy. Muyiwa Oni, Regional Head, Equity Research, West Africa for Stanbic IBTC. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time today.
It's amazing how time flies. Yeah, thank you.